Hi, Domenica here from easysewingforbeginners.com. In this video today I'll be showing you how to operate this mini sewing machine. Now when you first get the sewing machine out of the box, it'll look a little something like this. It'll have a piece of fabric already in it and it will already be threaded. What I'm going to show you today is how to thread the machine, how to wind the bobbin, and how to get it all set up ready to sew if some thread does run out or if some thread comes out of the needle. You'll know exactly what to do. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this fabric. So the presser foot is down at the moment, so I'm going to lift the presser foot. There's a little lever at the back here. I'm going to lift that up and that will bring your presser foot up. I'm going to take that fabric out and I'm going to unthread the whole machine. Now I'm going to plug the machine in so we have some power. So you can either insert your batteries at this stage or your power plug, and you'll also need your foot pedal plugged in unless you want to use the on-off button there. So this is all plugged in and ready to go. Next you'll need your thread and your empty bobbin. So to wind the bobbin, I'm going to pull this spool pin up here to put my thread onto, like so. And then I need to release this bobbin winding pin. So it's on the hand wheel here, looks like a little button. So I'm going to press it inwards and then turn my finger towards me and it should pop that little bobbin pin out. And to put it back in, you just push it in and turn away from you. Okay. And then I'm going to put the end of this thread through one of the holes. And you can wind it on a bit if you like to get it started. And firmly push it on because you don't want it falling off while you're winding. Okay. So I'm going to put my foot on the presser foot, on the foot pedal, sorry, and I'm going to hold this thread out to provide the tension, and I'll need to also move it from side to side. Okay, so you get the idea. To take it off, just pull it off gently. Okay, and you can use a little thread cutter on the side of the sewing machine there if you like. And then don't forget to push your pin back in. Turn a bit, push it back in and turn it away from you to lock it in there. Okay, and then you might just need to snip that little bit of excess thread off. Now I'm going to thread the top part of the machine. So you can actually, if you want, just use this thread from the thread spool and thread it from here. But I'll show you how to use this little thread holder here. So this one has a pin. So I'm going to pull that pin out and it has a spring that provides the tension. So don't lose that spring. So I'm going to grab that pin. I'm going to put my new bobbin spool of thread onto that pin and push it in to that hole. Now I've tested it with the thread coming off this way and with the thread coming off underneath, and it's pretty much the same, so I don't think that matters too much. Alright, so we're going to thread the machine now. So this is your first thread guide, so you need to pass it through from right to left. I'm just going to pull it so I have a bit of thread to work with. Alright, next the thread needs to go into the tension discs, which are right here. So pull it down so it's sitting nicely in between those tension discs. The next thread guide is right here. You need to thread it through from right to left if you can get your fingers in there. Just make sure it doesn't get caught on anything. Okay, your next thread guide is on the take up lever up here. So you need to pass it through from right to left. Okay, and the next thread guide is right here. Now there is a light on here as well. I don't find it terribly useful, but turn it on might help. So I'm going to pass it through the next thread guide right here from top to bottom. Okay, now the next thread guide is right in here on the top of the needle bar. So I'm going to pass it through from top to bottom again. Okay, and then the last part of threading the top of the sewing machine is putting the thread through the needle. So I'm going to make sure the needle is in the highest position. So I'm just going to turn the hand wheel towards me until that needle is in its highest position. So that's about there. And you need to thread the needle going from left to right. Now, I struggle with that, so I'm going to use this needle threader. So I'm going to put the needle threader in from the right. Put my thread through the threader. And then put it through there. Ugh. Let me try that again. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to pull that thread all the way through. Next I'm going to load in the bobbin for the bottom thread. So to do this you need to have your bobbin with your thread running in a clockwise direction. So when you hold your bobbin up with your thread, it should almost look like the letter Q, so that'll help you remember. So we're going to drop the bobbin in to that little spot on in the bobbin holder down there, and you can just rest your thread in that little thread guide there. I don't think it's essential, but it's there. And then I'm going to turn the hand wheel towards me, and this will take the needle down and over that bobbin in the bottom there. And then once the needle comes back up, you can gently pull the thread towards you, and that should bring the bobbin thread up as well. And then you can carefully just pull it out. Put your threads under the presser foot there and towards the back, and your machine is ready to sew. Just replace that bobbin cover there. There we go. Okay, so before you start sewing with your sewing machine, I'm going to sew a bit of fabric and share a few tips that I've worked out that'll help with using this sewing machine. So I've got my fabric ready, my machine is all threaded up. What I recommend you do is put your fabric under the presser foot, lower your presser foot down, and before you put your foot on the foot pedal, turn the hand wheel towards you a couple of times just to put that needle up and down, and put a couple of stitches into the fabric, and that'll hold your thread in, because I found if I didn't do that, the machine would want to pull the thread out and it would break and I'd have to rethread the machine. Okay, so that should be good to go. So I'm going to actually do a couple of stitches, and then I'm actually going to swivel this fabric. Because this machine doesn't have a reverse function and you want to secure your threads, I'm going to put the needle into the down position so it's in the fabric. I'm going to lift my presser foot, swivel my fabric, and you do this right at the very end, when you, well, right at the beginning when you start. I'm going to presser foot down, do a few stitches going in the other direction, my needle down, and then I can swivel it back, and that'll hold my stitching in nice and secure. Otherwise, it'll come undone and it won't last very long. All right, so now I'm going to sew. Okay, and the same again when you get to the end, put your needle in the down position, secure your stitching. All right, and then what I recommend you do when you're done, just put your foot on the foot pedal and let the thread come through a bit. Okay, you can either snip it off with your scissors or use this little thread cutter up here. Okay, and I've found that that helps with getting some of the thread through. Otherwise, if you lift the presser foot up and try and pull the thread, the machine doesn't like it and it puts a lot of pressure onto your take-up lever, and it just, you're going to break your thread. So I've done it a few times. So there's my stitching, there's the top, if you can see that a bit clearer, and there's the bottom. Okay, so have a play around with yours and I'll show you how to change the needle next.